you can't help but become what you dwell on, right? A lot of the expressions in the stuff that we learn is where attention goes, energy flows.
Yes.
You know, we'll go down to the next word, focus. Anyone can accomplish great things if they set the intention of maintaining focus on what's important to them. Okay?
Which is, I think it's important, the ending statement, what's important to them.
Yeah, okay. And I'll also add, normally when you're in awareness of one thing, it's only because the opposite of it is available to you. So when you're saying to yourself, I can't have this because of this.
Mm.
And a lot of people, it's, you know, there's a lot of stuff around money these days.
Welcome to the Conscious Journey podcast, where I invite you to have an open heart and an open mind to consciously explore your own life's journey as we dive into conversations that lead to discovery, growth, healing, and expansion. I'm your host, Kristy Morrison. Let's go. All right, so today we have another amazing episode with my buddy here, Curtis. We love having our chats. I'm filming here in beautiful Costa Rica. Kurt, you're still back in Ottawa. We got to get you down here. Maybe we'll do one together when we're both down here. That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be awesome.
So today we're doing a pretty exciting episode, words to embody, and how that impacts our lives, how that impacts how we show up, how that impacts our mindset, how that impacts how we work, just overall how it impacts everything we do in our lives every single day. And I know when we met, we kind of started, you got me started on words to avoid. You gave me a short list of words to avoid. I'm up for a challenge. It was a lot harder than I thought to start, because obviously my ego was like, whatever, I'll just do all this in like a week, knock it out of the park. And lo and behold, I was like catching myself using words that I shouldn't be using. I was like, man, okay, these words I'm using a lot more than I thought I was. Which drew attention to me focusing on how I'm speaking and showing up. But the words to embody, you and Eric have been working on this for a while. And working on these words to embody is kind of the next pivotal point, how to raise your, I guess, level that you're going to be working on, right?
I just was kicked off here for a second. I don't know if I'm back on. Are you?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
We'll edit that.
That's okay. So hey everyone. Thanks for having me back, Kristy. Yeah. So Kristy and I were just talking before we came on about what topic would be, and I feel she's right. Unless you know the nuances of how you express yourself, there's really no point in stepping into empowering your expressions until you remove certain words, because words have the power to create or destroy.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of ancient texts, and as many would know, I'm sure there's verses that they understand more than others that are in certain books. You know, there is a lot of literature says that the word was made flesh. And you know, it's, what does that mean? And is there any efficacy to it? So challenge it, right?
Yes.
You know, talk talk bad to yourself every day, constantly, over and over, talk bad to others every day, over and over, it's gonna feel heavy. I even feel a bit heavy just saying that. And so what is that? What's that shift? What's going on? So there must be some efficacy to it. And then say I love you to yourself when you look in the mirror. Say I am thriving. What does thriving cover?
Yeah.
Kristy, there's a question for you. Does thriving cover one thing, one area of your life? When you say I am thriving?
Just one? No, it covers like a multitude of areas.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you say I am thriving?
Yeah.
And I love you. Say that to other people. Hey, you look great today. Wow, that color looks good on you. Like I instantly feel lighter. So there has to be some efficacy to this.
It makes them feel lighter too. As soon as you do something like that, it instantly, you
Absolutely.
see it in their face, you see it in how they stand, their presence. You're like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. And when you single someone out in a room and all you do is make fun of them, they're going to feel closed off.
Yeah.
They're not going to feel good. And you may not see that person again for a while because of the last time you saw them and you made them feel small.
Yep.
And you could have taken that opportunity to make them feel big, to be curious about their life, regardless of whether or not you think it's bigger than your life or not.
Exactly.
So what? Be curious about others. There's a quote that I didn't coin, but it's really amazing, that seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Mm.
And all that means is maybe the person you're with has never had anybody say, so tell me about your life. What's good about your life? And it could be something small. Maybe I made a paper airplane today. But, oh, how far did it fly? Like, instead of being like, well, that's ridiculous, maybe they just want you to be curious about it a little bit more, and then they're actually happy that you're listening. And what color was the paper?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did it crash right away? Did you make another one? Did it get any farther? Like, so what? Have a fun conversation with someone, even when it's something you don't necessarily agree with. Ask questions about what they're going through or the things they believe in. And then the more you understand about what they believe in, the better you'll feel about expressing yourself and sharing your thoughts on it.
Exactly.
And it is truly about creating space. When I create space for someone, we kind of feel like, open, now I can say a bit about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think it's absolutely amazing when we're able to take that moment, be curious, and have those conversations. Because not only when you're having these conversations, you kind of get to see the expression of the other person. Like you had that example of a paper airplane. Yeah, you might not care personally about this paper airplane, but when that person lights up talking about it, you're like, okay, that's cool. And you might learn something new. Be like, hey, due to, I don't know, aerospace paper engineering, if you do it this way. And then you could probably show it to your niece, and your niece would be like, that'd be so cool. So
Yes.
People write off so many things as simple or unimportant, but they're not looking at the bigger picture and having, being objective, being curious, being like, okay, I can learn something here. And I think, what an amazing world we would be if we all took a moment just to ask questions to people we don't even know.
And it's sometimes it's as simple as the people that irk you the most in life.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like you just free your throat when you say, okay, normally I'm aggravated at this person, but I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Tell me something good about your life. Like, say that to the person that irks you the most. They may not even have a quick response because they haven't been asked that before.
Yeah.
But I like, instead of saying, so how are you? So the weather's good, eh? And it's shitty weather. Or, oh, it's gonna rain. It's gonna snow. No, it was terrible yesterday. The wind was too strong on my face. Next time you see someone, say, what's good and new?
Yes.
Like, that opens up a whole plethora of things. First of all, the person you ask that to might even not even have a response, because we don't have a knee-jerk response to those questions. So then you might want to be curious, why can't I say what's good and new? Like maybe I had the best avocado toast today,
Exactly.
and it was a recipe I found online, and today I woke up and I exercised, and I wasn't like that last week, and I felt really good, and that's good and new. It's not like what's good and new. Well, I'm taking a trip tomorrow, or I just bought a car. Like it doesn't have to be this big thing. It
Yeah.
could be something simple, but we tend to not even know what to say to certain questions.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps you understand that there is a bit of a record player going on with the way we communicate with each other. It's usually
Yes.
about the weather,
Mm-hmm.
how you're feeling,
Or
like
complaining.
the simple little things.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get cut off today in traffic? And then someone would say, yeah, and say, oh, you thought you got cut off. I got cut off. So we tend to want to tell the better, worse story.
Yeah.
And, and we seem to be like, we get excited to tell the better, worse story, but is that really helping anybody in the room? Because
Exactly.
everyone's just pissed off, and now they go their separate ways, all pissed off. And then instead, why can't you tell the good story? And what's good and new, and like that, I think forces someone to be really present because
100%.
you reflect immediately. Like that makes you reflect instantly. And when it catches your tongue, like, and you're like, I'm not even sure what to say to this person who asked me this simple question, what's good and new? So I think that's important to maybe experiment with anybody watching the podcast.
Yes.
Say it to someone the first time you see them today or tomorrow. Just say it. Say the first thing that you say to this person. Say, what's good and new? You're going to learn something. It's going to show you
I mean,
that,
it also directs the dialogue to be something new and positive,
yeah,
right? Because, like you said, a lot of cooler talk or whatever, water closet talk, whatever they call it at the office, where you congregate in the little lunch area around the water cooler and you complain about something and you one up each other. Well, if you talk
yeah,
about what's good and new, you're changing the energy in that room. You're changing. People are like, oh well, I experienced something pretty amazing today. My
yeah,
niece calls me from Europe, and then someone would be like, "Oh, that's really cool," and then they're going to share something positive. So you're
yes,
changing the energy
yeah,
that is happening in that room, and
yeah.
and when you change
And
the energy in the room continually, you're going to notice a difference long term.
and there's the enoughness about it too.
Yes.
It
Yes.
doesn't need to be a book I'm telling you about. It could be one
Yeah.
sentence. We
Exactly.
got to be okay with that. Okay, now let's go our separate ways. That was good.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let's be satisfied that I didn't wow you with some crazy person that cut
Yeah.
me off today.
Yeah.
So, and that is important too. Sometimes it kind of takes a little bit to get the engine rolling because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be like, well, I didn't have a lot to share there. Like, made me feel a little awkward. So what? You're a little bit vulnerable in that moment. Great.
Exactly.
It's also going to teach you that someone's still expecting you to say something negative. And it's like, just stop in that moment and walk away and
Yes.
realize that that person might be contemplating, wow, that's really interesting. And then again, it's like when, like Kristy said, and more people can do this stuff, I feel like never underestimate the tiny little gesture or the uplifting that you do, because we do create this momentum in our day, right? And, own the morning, seize the day. We've
Mm-hmm.
heard that many times. It's true. When you wake up and take a moment to introspect, maybe a couple minutes, and visualize your day going well, instead of like, oh, I gotta make coffee. Oh, I gotta get dressed. Oh, I brush my teeth, do my hair. I gotta go in traffic. Oh, there's gonna be a red light. You're visualizing all these. I wonder if the road's gonna be clear. And it's like, why are you envisioning things you haven't even done yet
Yes.
in a manner that's unwanted?
Yeah.
And in the spiritual community, there are a lot of authors and a lot of speakers and a lot of gurus that talk about, I envision a perfect parking place when I get to work. And they're always like, and it's always there. And it's like, Okay, so is there any efficacy to that? Well, what have they done? They've simply envisioned their day going well.
Hmm.
And I have done this. Saturday, I was a part of an event, and I brought Vita Sana to the event, and I was doing it with my girlfriend, and she has her company, the Harmonic Egg, which is in Ottawa, which I highly suggest anybody check out. It's like a tetrahedron chamber. They utilize light, frequency, and sound. It is a
It looks
calming
amazing.
place. It is so calming. Um, I find some of the fringe benefits are individual, so everybody experiences something different. What it does, though, it puts you in a chamber and gets you to stop.
Hmm.
Like you're literally like, oh, I'm gonna meditate at home. But then there's a distraction, and there's another distraction, and there's another distraction, and there's another distraction, and we undervalue stopping.
Totally. Yeah.
And what this does is it gets you to stop. And then, of course, there's therapeutic sound waves and light. So you're not only stopping, like you're putting a halt on your whole life for a second, pressing the pause button, which you're in a chamber, you got no choice.
Yes.
But you're like so calm and relaxed, and that you can feel your body buzzing. So there are a lot of benefits to these things, and anybody who's local or research a local one in your area, because they're all around the world, harmonic eggs, they're fascinating. So all these things are so important for us to do, to step back from our whole life
Hmm.
and realize that maybe there is something that I've been missing, and by me stepping into putting Vita Sana in the event allowed me the opportunity to understand the importance of stepping into yourself. And so, you know, I had a choice Saturday morning how I wanted to wake up and see the rest of my day.
Hmm.
And I looked over at Rachel and I said, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and we're going to go through our day. We're going to see ourselves going through each motion. Get up, make a coffee, organize, make a list. What do we need to bring? What's on the short list? What's on the long list? What do we need for later? Snacks. But see yourself doing these things. See yourself setting up effortlessly. See yourself being open on time for when everybody comes in. See yourself
Hmm.
accepting clients in a graceful way. Everyone loving what you have to say. Having a snack throughout the day so we don't get, tired. Seeing that going well too. Having an opportunity to talk to really great people and network. See that go well. See the afternoon run by smoothly. See ourselves closing the event effortlessly and packing our vehicles effortlessly and bringing home things effortlessly and unpacking. See traffic going well. See the rest of our day going well. See ourselves having a wonderful meal, celebrating this wonderful day, and see ourselves getting home safely at the end of the day. How long did
Exactly.
that take? That took us 2 minutes before we began our morning.
It also took the same amount of time as people who would do the exact same thing, but in a crappy way.
Yeah. And guess what? I looked over at Rachel when we went to bed and she was so happy.
Yeah, of course. You guys created a magical day.
Now, one would say, oh no, that's because of this condition today and this condition today, and I sold lots of stuff. No, 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 no. That's because we paused in the morning and
Hmm.
envisioned our day going perfectly.
Exactly.
Like 2 minutes. Yet no one thinks that, oh, your imagination plays a part in your day. Yes, it does. It totally does. Einstein coined it, imagination is more powerful than knowledge.
Yes.
And think of Einstein. Did Einstein go, I'm going to share what I've learned through books? No, through what I've learned in books. So I'll read a book and then I'll reword what I've read to people, and that's how I'll come up with the equations of the universe. No,
Yeah.
Einstein went in, introspected,
Yep.
closed his eyes, and allowed his imagination to play and dance. And he received insight. He wrote it down and thought, I'm going to let myself go there. So simply, for anyone listening, let yourself go there in the morning. Take 2 minutes. And when there's something more pressing than the 2 minutes, deal with it.
Exactly.
You know, let's say you got a kid crying on you, ready to their pants on your stomach. Well, yeah, you probably want to go take care of their diaper. And you probably want to go make sure that they're having a snack, because them screaming at the door in the bathroom isn't going to help you be calm.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get 2 minutes, just 2 minutes of actual peace, shut the door in the bathroom, go in your bedroom, lock the door, visualize the rest of the day going perfectly, and always see yourself getting home safely.
A great time to do that too is in the shower. You're there alone. So
yes.
Take that time and just do it in the shower, and just pause and breathe while you're in the shower. The water is just coming down and cleansing you and making it a great day. It's a perfect time to do it.
Yeah. Here, something just came to me as you said that. So the importance of silence, inner silence. Why does it have such a positive effect on us? And I began to really contemplate this. So as we all know, we've done these things. We've walked into a room and forgot why we were walking into the room. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We've arrived at a destination after driving somewhere and thought, holy shit, I forgot the last 15 minutes of driving. We've all done this. Mm-hmm. We've also been in the shower and gotten to the end of the shower and said, did I shampoo my hair? So we just do it again just to be safe. So think about, we're perfect beings. We're created perfectly. Okay? So could it possibly be that there might be some things on default that are meant to help us cope? Well, of course. Mm-hmm. We're perfectly created. So a machine that runs wild, we're going to put a governor on it. Okay? You don't put a kid on a motorbike without governing the bike, because you know, it's okay, he'll be fine, or she'll be fine. So we run wild. Humans run wild. Our creator, whatever you want to say, created us.
Yes.
Whatever image that brings to you in your mind of a creator, she, he, it created us with a governor. Mm-hmm. And the governor is stillness, silence, peace, which is why meditation has so much efficacy for us. Because we have a default system, which are the three things I just said that are on default. We've all done those three things. We've all done them.
Yes.
And then that's by default. When you deliberately meditate, sit down, put a timer on, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can endure. Mm-hmm. Trust that at least 10 seconds of that silence puts you in that still, calm place.
And I think right now is a really good point to just interject about the meditation, sharing an experience from myself. So people who may not have tried meditation can understand maybe what it might feel like. For myself, when I started in like 2016, and at that time I had a business, I had a company, I was busy, and I prided myself in being busy. I thought that's what I was supposed to do in life. And my mind would go 24/7 all the time. I would be thinking, did I do this? Did I do that? Did I forget this? Have I done that? Am I supposed to do this? Let's do this. Like chatter nonstop. And so when I started trying meditation, because I heard it was beneficial, I was like, whatever, I'll give this a try. I remember sitting there and my brain would just be like, this is stupid. It's not doing anything. Why are we doing this? Blah, blah, blah. I should be doing this. I'm wasting my time. And it really did, like, it was hard. It was really difficult for me to start because I was so used to the chatter in my head. But I made a commitment to myself to see what would happen. And I think it took at least 3 months of doing it every day. And I would only do it for like 5 or 10 minutes because that's all I could handle. Like I would do 5 minutes and like, okay, I'm done. I can't handle anymore. And eventually, it took me 3 months of doing it almost every day of 5 minutes, where I started to realize and not have as much chatter. I just remember waking up one day and I was like, "Where's all this chatter?" And I was like, oh wow, the chatter is subsiding. This is interesting." And that's when I started challenging myself to do it a little bit more and going a little deeper and seeing where it takes me. And now I'm just it's completely a different world I'm living in compared to when I started. And I'm forever grateful that I did not listen to the typical, "Oh, I can't do it. I'm too busy," or "I can't do it. My mind never shuts off." I'm like, that's why you need to do it. You need to
Yeah.
give yourself and honor your body, your mind, your soul by giving it the time to practice
Yeah.
until you start seeing the positive impacts that it has in your life.
Yeah. So likeness begets likeness,
Mm-hmm.
right? So busyness can only produce more of the same.
Yes.
And when you throw a little hook in there, maybe it's only 10 seconds of utter, complete stillness and silence, then that can only produce the same.
Mm-hmm. And it
No,
compounds, which
yeah,
is a great
and
book,
not,
by the way, The Compound Effect by, I think it's Darren Hardy.
yeah, well, you made me think of The Flow State by Stephen Calder.
Oh, that's a good one. Yep.
He wrote a book, Superhuman, and
Mm-hmm.
and he began his studies. I mean, you can really research him. I don't know his bio perfectly, but one thing that he ended up doing was he would study snowboarders at snow resorts, and he would see people there that are well into their 60s, looking like they're teenagers, because they became lifers. But then he said there's got to be more to it. It can't be just be about just only live on a ski hill, right? And of course he's right. You know, many people have found themselves in the flow state. Michael Jordan would be interviewed about a super dunk that he did, and he would say, "I don't even remember it." And
Yes.
you know, so that's flow state. And so, what is the flow state? Well, he would see these people and he would ask these people that jump off these mountains that are like 80, 90, 110 feet, how the heck are they just going, whee, like flying on like it's nothing, like they're going over a little bump. They would get into this flow state where everything else was gone and they'd be in this one place. So, to help people understand what meditation is, meditation is simply allowing yourself to be in one state. And for however long that lasts, we don't know exactly what is the perfect governor to stay in that state, or would you want to stay in that state forever? Well, maybe at one point in time it was okay to be a monk and sit on a mountain and stay in a cave and not have any busyness in your life and stay in the state as long as you can. And I'm sure there's many who have,
Mm-hmm.
and bless their hearts, but they're not helping me in the burger stand when I'm waiting for my burger.
Yeah.
So can the person flipping the burgers be in a flow state? Of course they can.
Totally.
They're going to contribute to life more. And I think we're past this separate yourself from everything thing. And there's only go to Sedona to be peace and quiet,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, stay on a beach forever the rest of your life. Well, you're not really contributing to society,
Mm-hmm.
because the person who desires peace and serenity is the person I want to work beside in the busyness, because you know we're all going in the same direction.
Yes.
We know that throughout the day, yeah, there might be emails to respond to, there might be people to talk to, there might be destinations to be at a specific time today. But I want the person that's embodying serenity to be there, not the person who shows up freaking out. You know, and at the same time, we end up after the freak out realizing it's all okay anyways. So did we really need to go there? You know, and was it necessary to build that energy so intensely the freak out energy when all of a sudden you're there and you're like, oh, everybody else was late too. Big deal. And it's like,
Yes.
oh, okay, well, that mindset is, cool. I am always going to show up at the right time. And it's going to work out perfect for me.
Yes.
And when I have a person who's like selfishly caring about their equanimity and their serenity, then I know that that's a person I can get along with really well, and we can create something really cool.
Exactly.
And are there going to be time constraints? Well, of course there is. That's okay. But when you let the time constraints come at you and you fight them and you're aggravated by them, you're only going to create the same,
Yes.
right? And when you just suck it up and go for it and put yourself there and say, okay, I'm here at least.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be enough because this is all I'm offering. So in this circumstance, it'll present to you that this place isn't for you, and don't fight it. This place isn't for you. Get out quick.
Yep.
Because there's always a place that's right for you.
Exactly.
And I think maybe I might be jumping here a little bit. I think what a lot of people have a struggle with is being in a workplace for 20 years, seeing that, oh, if I stay another 10 years, my pension will be decent and my benefits are getting a little bit better by 5% every 2 years. And I got a $5 raise and I'm getting a little bit of a promotion, a little bit more on my plate. It's a little bit more heavy, but at least I'm progressing a little bit. And then, would I ever love to do that for a living? But they won't because there's this. So I feel like you're kind of missing your mark in life because, I promise you, you leave that place that has all that job security and you step into that person that you are, the things you learned over the 20 years, you're going to implement. Even though it's a completely different genre, it's a completely different workplace, it's a completely different environment. Don't underestimate those nuances that you cultivated in your life that you learned from this place because you're going to implement it.
Yes.
And then you're going to be like, oh, I got goosebumps. This is amazing feeling.
Well, it's designed that way, right? It's designed to keep people comfortable. And we all know, and we've heard the saying that growth happens outside of your comfort zone. And it's so exciting. Like, that's why I love my podcast title, The Conscious Journey. Like, I fully believe life is a journey. We are walking through this every single day. Things are going to come up and we're going to be like, that's cool. And if it's on your radar, you should probably look into it. You should be like, okay, why do I think that's cool?
Yeah.
And explore it. And maybe you'll, I don't know, become the next freaking Picasso because you thought it was cool and you got it to try, but you were too afraid because, you didn't want to quit your job. You don't have to quit your job and just become Picasso. But hey, you got an hour after work, pick up a paintbrush and give it a shot. Like, explore, try, do these things.
Yeah. And also, we have all this pressure. We come out of high school and what are you going to be? And
Exactly.
you got to sign up now. And, you put all this money and then there's a lot of pressure on that. Maybe family members have supported you to go through school. And now there's a lot of pressure on you for doing this thing that you're not even sure whether or not you want to do it.
Yeah.
But we all know that when we buy a new car, they let you test drive it first. So I think we don't give ourselves the opportunity to test drive things in our life. And there's a gentleman that was speaking on Next Level Soul podcast, which is a really amazing podcast. I highly recommend anybody check it out because Alex lets people go there in their lives and it really stretches your mind. Even if you have disbelief on certain things that happen in this world, it helps you see that people are living these things in their everyday, which means you can too.
Yes.
So I highly suggest anybody listening check that podcast out. What this gentleman was saying, and I love how people really dive into this psychology of the way we live. So he coined people who stay safe, people who get into the career and play it safe. He calls it orphan syndrome. Isn't that interesting? Think of
Yeah.
why you go to an orphanage, because it's a place of safety, and you're like, well, at least there's other people here, and they're going through the
Yeah.
same thing I'm going through. And then you have the idea of an entrepreneur, which I think everyone in the world wants to be one. Honestly, I think everybody in the world wants to be one. And yet they don't,
Yep. I
because
agree.
we've been fed this safety thing, right? And oh, I'm making this kind of money, so I'll just stay here. And then even though that there's a lot of things on the list that you don't like, and the short list of what you do like about your job really sucks. And so that's, think about it, orphan syndrome. And then he says that there's certain people in this world that escape orphan syndrome. I find that so fascinating. I mean, it's a little depressing for anybody listening who's
But it challenges them to think like, can what can they do in their own life that they could, potentially be an entrepreneur about. And
yes,
a lot of people are, because I'm an entrepreneur, and you are as well. We It's nothing to me. It's nothing. Being an entrepreneur is nothing. It's just a way of life, and it's easy to me. I don't sit here and overanalyze it. But I have friends who, let's say my friend who works in the government, she's like, "Oh, I would love to be my own boss one day." I'm like, "Why don't you do it?" She's like, "Well, I got a stable thing here. I got a pension." And I was like, "Yeah, but what if you were your entrepreneur and you make your own damn pension and you absolutely loved what you were doing?" That's an option too, you
so
know.
yeah, it's the word security net.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Okay,
like
so
yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say, I think
okay.
I want to get into these words to embody. I want
I
to
was
talk about that for
I
sure
was just
because it's so
literally thinking
important.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's fair to offer, if while we go down this road, Kristy, um, to explain it a bit. So words to avoid is something that Kristy was saying that I shared with her early on.
Hmm.
And, you know, there is such thing as called nuances, and I'll explain the nuances. So let's say you start a new job. You're the new guy or girl. You're a little nervous and you come in and you don't even know where the damn bathroom is, right? In the building. You don't know where the room is to get more paper, to get more tape. You don't know where the room is or the hallway that has that vending machine that everybody loves. You don't know the quickest coffee place to go to. There's so many nuances about your new job that you don't even have a clue what to do. And then the thing you notice over a month, over 2 months, over 3 months, and now you're a veteran. You're there for a year. That's the nuances, right? So what is the vocabulary nuances that we want to share with you? So nuances, words to avoid,
Mm.
okay? Don't go down that hallway, go down this hallway, and we'll explain why, right? So we have decided to add words to embody. So we're not going to explain words to avoid. We're simply going to explain words to embody. We'll give you a short list with no explanation on words to avoid, and it's up to you to get creative to take it out of your vocabulary. And something that Kristy and I did a while ago, and when she first started with us, is she would literally put it on her laptop. And Kristy, being a real estate agent, uh, works with her laptop a lot, so she knew she would see this area. And of course, she drives around a lot, so she put it in her car too. So even her conversations on her phone as she's driving, it was always in her awareness. And then she would notice, she would say the word and then see a conversation coming out again, and oh, I got to get clever and remove it. So that takes a little bit of time to find where the coffee shop is, where the washroom is, where the vending machine is, where the supply
Yep.
room is. It takes a bit of time to get used to the nuances of adding a new vocabulary to you and realizing the importance of it. So, words to embody, we're going to give you the word to embody, We're also going to give you a definition of why it's important to describe it. I feel like when you become more familiar with something, you know it more,
Yes.
right? It's like meeting someone new for the first time, or someone in your family member has brought their new boyfriend or girlfriend into the mix. You're not really sure the first time. First impressions are important. You're not really sure, but after meeting them for 4 times, they're kind of like one of the family, right? So when you start to say, when we say the first word on this list is determined, we all have an idea of what determined means. Although we'll say this description: indicate your intention to approach everything you do with excitement, drive, and a sense of purpose. I am determined. Like, just say it. Like, now you know by saying that word, you're embodying the intention of determined. And you become that. You can't help but become what you dwell on, right? A lot of the expressions in the stuff that we learn is where attention goes, energy flows.
Yes.
You know, we'll go down to the next word, focus. Anyone can accomplish great things if they set the intention of maintaining focus on what's important to them. Okay?
Which is, I think it's important, the ending statement, what's important to them.
Yeah, okay. And I'll also add, normally when you're in awareness of one thing, it's only because the opposite of it is available to you. So when you're saying to yourself, I can't have this because of this.
Mm.
And a lot of people, it's, you know, there's a lot of stuff around money these days. This is what's stopping me from getting that. These bills are heavy. I can't seem to get ahead. And when that stuff becomes really heavy in your life, realize it's because the opposite is available to you. Because it's attempting to show you where you're at. And we cannot be in awareness of one thing without being in awareness of the opposite. How would you know what a sunny day is and a warm, beautiful day without knowing what a terrible, rainy, cold, shivery day is?
Yeah.
Okay? So don't underestimate these unwanted feelings. Realize it's only because you actually know what thriving is, right? And we said earlier, I am thriving, you know, and what does thriving cover? It covers everything. So say it, I am thriving. Because when you say I am thriving, it's not one area of your life. I am thriving in health. I'm thriving in happiness. I'm thriving in wealth. I'm thriving in love.
Yes.
I'm thriving in kindness.
All avenues.
Right? And then so we get to the next word here, clarity. Right? Find clarity about what you value, what you need, and what steps you want to take next. Now think about what came in there. Find clarity about what you value. What are the 3 main values in your life? What do you value most?
And everyone needs to know this is different to everyone else, right? It's to you yourself. So if you have a spouse and your spouse is like, I really value, I don't know, fast cars. You're like, well, okay, that's for you. It doesn't have to be yours. Make your own. Like, I value family. I value time. Like, whatever it is, make it for your individual self.
I value really delicious coffee.
Right?
You know, it doesn't have to be like, actually, when you start to like focus on that, you're going to be like, oh, it wasn't the mansion on an island.
Exactly.
Like literally, we're quite simple beings. we find peace in easy things. And when you put your 3 main values at the top of your list every day, that's self-love. You're taking care of yourself. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When you're a better person to yourself, and when you're happy with yourself, you're a better person to be around.
100%, yeah.
Case in point, when you show up as your depleted version, as 50% of yourself, I'm like, who is this person? I don't even want to be around you. And then another day you show up elated and 90% of yourself, I'm like, you're pleasant today. And we all notice this with people in our lives. We see examples of this all the time. Like, who showed up today? What version showed up today? Because like, oh, they're in a good mood today. Go see them. Or don't go see them. They're in a pissy mood. So that means they're not showing up. There's a percentage of themselves that they decided to not bring today. So maybe they didn't focus on their values. Maybe they didn't give themselves an extra bit of time to make that delicious coffee and sit down and enjoy it. Right.
And it's important, not only, like you said, become clear on your values and honor them. So if coffee is it, take your time and make sure it's part of your day. Like, feed yourself that. Feed what you need. And it's also important to know that your values and what you need will change over time. And it's always good to sit with yourself and be like, okay, where am I now? Like, these are the values that I really hold dear to my heart. Are they still really dear to my heart? Do I need these things in my life? And one day you might just wake up and be like, you know what? No, I'm good with releasing this value. I'm embodying this next one. Because that's just the time and space that you're in at that moment. So don't pigeonhole yourself with the same values that you have when you're 5 and when you're 45.
Yeah. And I would put care and value really close to each other.
Yes.
So what are the 3 things you care about most in your life? Because care is the generative factor in our life, right? And oftentimes there's silly things we care about, like, my spouse just keeps putting this thing in the wrong spot. Why do you care about that so much?
Yes.
And why is it that your friend Susie doesn't care about that? You may want to ask yourself, is it something that you can let go? Would it value your life to not care about where they put the spoon? I think so. If only they would just stop putting the spoon here, my life would be at peace. No, say, why do I actually care about that thing so much? It's their life. It's nothing to do with mine, but I care what they do so much that I'm going to let it irk me. Well, maybe let that little thing go and see how you feel.
Oh, man. Right? That is, I think, the key life hack of this century, right? Like, just stop freaking out over shit out of your control.
And what was that, a conscious care, or was that an unconscious care that you're letting rule your life?
Exactly.
So now you're deliberately steering the ship. You're saying, no, I'm not going to let this silly spoon thing bother me anymore. And then what you do is you replace one care and you let another one in, right? And then you're like, oh, is there other things that like those silly cares?
Yeah.
I was working with a friend of mine, and we do renovations, so we do the full spectrum, and we're at painting, right? And clients change their mind on colors like the wind blows, right? And I had embodied this peacefulness in my life over the last 6 years, gratefully, and I didn't realize how aggravated I got at everything. And he was like criticizing the clients for changing the color for the 4th time. And he was doing it, he's like, as if he's like whispering to me, I can't believe they're picking this. But I'm like, how come I no longer care about it? Like, why isn't it irking me? And I kind of introspected and I said, oh, because I've dropped this stuff. It's not my house.
Yes.
It's not my money. They're throwing more money at us to paint the same wall. So what? And he had this peace come over him. He was like, oh, that is so strange why I was letting it irk me.
Yeah.
And what are we talking about? A paint color of someone's wall in a house.
In not even your own house.
Although it ruled his day.
Yeah.
Right? And even he let that piece come in. Right? And I'm not saying I wasn't there. I was like, why did they pick this tile? This tile looks terrible here. It's not my house. And when I stopped dropping the cares like that, and then started saying, what is it I truly, truly care about? It's not someone's tile choices. And then you focus on those cares. And it's interesting how simple your life becomes when you do that. So
Definitely.
I'm going to go with number 4 on the list.
Yeah.
Presence. We live in a world full of distractions, and that can make it difficult to feel fully present. Show up for yourself and for others in all the big and small moments of your life. Key phrase there, show up. As we talked about earlier,
Yes.
what did I do? I knew everything was going to go well at the event. I showed up. I didn't worry, is anybody going to sign up? Am I going to do a nice event? Did I get everything covered? I showed up. I put my body in that place and I put a smile on my face and I showed up.
I equate this to releasing the unnecessary need to worry. We've said before, a lot of us naturally stress ourselves out for no reason. The future has not happened. Why are we like, is anyone going to show? What are we going to do? Like, what if it's too busy? What if it's not busy enough? What if, but I'm like, there's a bazillion what ifs.
Yeah.
And you're wasting every second of your life worrying about stuff that hasn't even happened. When if you just show up and you're present, none of that unnecessary worry and garbage is going to occupy your mind and create anxiety. And that's why a lot of people are always in this state of aggravation. You're like, okay, breathe, just be present. What is meant to be will be, and flow with it.
And think about learned behavior.
Yes.
We're
here to unlearn all this garbage.
And remember who we be, right?
Exactly.
And think about, you said present, and a lot of people like hear these things, be in your now, and it's great to hear that, but then some people really want to know, what does it mean to be in my now? Like, people really want to know these things.
Yes.
Right? And then, so think about this for a second, okay? So being in your now, this may help some people think about it. So you've had this crazy week, and it's now Saturday. You've woken up and you're kind of contemplating your whole week. And you're like thinking, oh, this thing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So how much of the percentage of the last 5 days are you holding in this morning on Saturday? So what, 30%? 30% of your past, you're allowing it to be right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're thinking, oh, I got to do this next week, and I got to do this next week, and I got to do this. So now you're thinking maybe 20% of the future, and you're worrying about 20%, this 20%. So you're only 50% present on Saturday morning. Instead of allowing your whole self to be present Saturday morning, realizing that that's done, this hasn't happened yet. I'm going to stop it. So I thought of a couple things while you were saying that. Marcus Aurelius has a famous quote: I've had 1,000 problems in life, and only 3 of them have come true. And, that to me is so interesting. And another thing is I've heard that your mother is your best friend and your worst enemy at the same time, because all she does is worry for you. And I want to share a book by Catherine Ponder. I highly suggest that anybody interested in new thought stuff or old thought stuff, because it's all old. And she shares that, the power of your spoken word, and it's pretty brilliant. And so I think it was from the early 1900s is where she's from, and maybe don't quote me on that, but you can look up Catherine Ponder, excellent author and motivational speaker. So she would have these teas with women who were interested in this spiritual stuff and how you can create your own reality based on your awareness. And they would go around the room and everybody would share their little things. And some of the women would say, oh, my kids had the measles. My kids had the measles. My kids had the measles. And they always got around to this one woman. And we'll call her Mary, for lack of clarity and for more clarity. So Mary, was always known as her kids never got sick. She never got sick. And there, everyone was always, how is this even possible? So they get around to Mary, and they've known her for a while. And she said, my kid hasn't had the measles yet. She contacted every one of them a week later saying, you'll never guess what happened. My kid got the measles. So you got to be careful with how you express things. When we own something, we own it. When you
you're calling it in.
When you say my issue, my problem,
yep, you claim it.
My pain, my anger, what's going to happen? All you're going to see is more of the same in your life because you're affirming it. You're making it yours.
Mm-hmm.
When you say the pain, the anger, the unwanted circumstances, it's no longer you owning it. You're not claiming that these things don't exist. You're simply shifting the energy to the.
Neutralizes it.
Play around with that.
I love it. Okay, so we have not too much long left. I know we were in flow state.
Yeah.
I love it. So I want you to pick, you have a long list of words and I can see these words. I love it. I want you to pick one, not the next one in order, but one that really speaks to you that you want to end with sharing with them.
Yeah. So my second year of discovering more about myself and nervously putting myself in groups and meeting new people who think like this, I was invited to this book group. And the book group, every week, it was a lot of older women. I was the only man in the book group, a young guy. And that kind of made me nervous too, but they were really welcoming and warm people. And what we did was each week we would study one chapter and everyone would come to the table with their perspective of the chapter. It was kind of fun. And we'd all be on a group Zoom and everyone would get their chance to talk about stuff. And each person had to share something different about the book. And it was really neat. And so you said, no, not coincidentally enough, number 22 is what came to mind. And the word that popped out at me, and the reason I'm saying that is for anyone who gets to know me, 22 plays a big factor in my life. I just love that number. So the word is zeal. Z-E-A-L, zeal. And in this book group, zeal came up, and I thought it was such an interesting word. And through studying these words last Thursday, zeal popped up again. And of course, it's my favorite number. And I think this is really directing me to embody more zeal in my life. So whatever you do it with zeal. Zeal means fever for a person, cause, or object, eager desire or endeavor, enthusiastic diligence, adore. Get excited about the days ahead and make the most of them no matter what.
I love that. No matter what. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, of course it's number 22.
Yeah.
I think that is a perfect word to end this podcast. I'm excited about the days ahead, and I really try and make the most out of every single day. And I'm excited about our future podcast because we have so much to talk about. So much.
Yeah.
And share.
I thought of a quote that I like to say: allow yourself to dance between the highs of life because you can and you will.
Love that. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to wrap up. This is the easy button with Kurt on the Conscious Journey podcast. I absolutely love these days. I love chatting with you. And honors to be in business with you as well. So I think it's absolutely fun. So everyone tuning in, you guys know what to do. If you love this episode, I want you to like it. I want you to share it. If you think it was positive, leave us a comment. Give us something that will allow us to reach more people out there and share this content, expanding hearts, expanding minds. And until next time, guys, have fun.
You guys.